Hey, everybody, Brian Beckcom here, and I have got a good friend of mine and also one of the best Brazilian Jiu Jitsu competitors in the world, a two-time world champion right now, the defending world champion, Nogi, Mr. Pedro Marinho. Pedro, how you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm good, Brian. Thank for the words, and I'm excited to
Yeah,
to have this talk today.
for sure. And Pedro, before we get started, I want to tell you something that I've never told you before. But it's kind of important that I for me to tell you. And I before I tell you this, I know there's a lot of people that feel the same way. You're one of the coolest, nicest, toughest guys I've ever met in my life. And I've had a chance. I was actually last night. I was with my son Gus, who and he asked me. He said, "Hey, Dad, when did I first start training jujitsu?" And I said, "Well, we took a picture that day, so I can scroll through my pictures." Anyway, I was scrolling through my pictures, and I
Yeah,
found my very first class, and I
one
actually
long
have a
time.
video is with you, man. So
I remember.
yeah, but in any event, Pedro, you are a one of the most positive, optimistic people I've ever met. You've almost always got a smile on your face, and I just want to say thank you for being the kind of person you are.
Appreciate all the words, man. And I have a great people around me. Always the thing that I can kind of give back. For all the good things people help on this journey is just be a good person and spread what have the good in the world.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to talk about one of the things that I think is fair to say is very important in your life is your faith. And we're going to talk about that quite a bit. But before we get started with some of your thoughts on jujitsu, some of your thoughts on leadership, things like that, there'll be a lot of people that are listening to this podcast who know exactly who you are, but there will also be people who don't know who you are. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, how you ended up in the United States? Who is Pedro Marinho?
Hey, Pedro Marinho is a guy from Angra dos Reis, Brazil, Rio de
Yeah.
Janeiro. Uh, I started training kind of jiu-jitsu when I was 17 to 18 years old. I started just for hobby on my city. I always was a active kid. I always did a lot of surf, play soccer, did all these sports. But I get in love with jiu-jitsu when I started. It was a different thing for me. And since then, man, I think the first time that I did jiu-jitsu, I can say, man, how I'm gonna be able to do this every day, and work with. And in 2017, I was training already 2 years with my first professor. And in 2017, I moved to Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais, in Brazil, another city, 12 hours of my city, to start training with Professor Felipe. He's one of the best guys ever in Jiu-Jitsu. And I stayed 2 years there with him, learning a lot. And then I received the opportunity to come to United States from Professor Piano to stay 3 months. And these 3 months become 3 years already. And it was like this. And I'm happy to be an American. I think I had a lot of opportunities to show my love for Jiu-Jitsu and my love for fighting.
What was it like growing? Because you did not grow up wealthy. You did not grow up in a wealthy family. What was the name of the town you grew up in? Will you say that again?
Angra dos Reis.
Angar do Reis. I'm totally
Yeah.
messing that up.
is
What was it
a is
like?
a famous
Yeah.
is a famous place. Is we have a lot of beaches, islands. It's I have a 36 five islands. One for each day of the year. Is a famous
Wow.
about
Wow.
that.
Wow.
It's beautiful. It's pretty.
Yeah. And I've heard stories that when you were growing up, before you got into jujitsu, before you came into the United States, you were actually, as a kid, selling candy on the
Yeah.
streets. Tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
No, for sure. Is because how you guys know, in Brazil it's kind of hard, to be athlete, be compared to. And I always want to compete, the tournaments. But my parents don't have a condition, to pay my things. And I with my wife, now is my wife, but at that time just my girlfriend. We have the idea of she's make brigadeiros, is a Brazilian cane, and she's made that, and I start selling the streets, like door to door, and all for a dream, like I knew that is gonna be a part of my history, and was there, man, sell a lot of like brigadeiros on the street, like go door to door, and always thank God, always was support for people from there, like they always help me buy my things. Sometimes I do like in Brazil, I don't know, I do quentinha. It's like I sell food too, like we make a day and we sell a lot of like food we deliver to their home, all to help me come and compete on the awards in 2017, pay my tournament, all these things.
So how old are you right now, Pedro?
Now I'm 25 now.
25. Okay. And so you're relatively young, but back in 2017, you were wanting to fight in the World Jiu-Jitsu tournament. Is that right?
Yeah. Like say when I moved to Preguiça, that I start, I sell things to compete on Rio, like on my city. And when I start win tournaments on my city, I went to another states. And the United States I went to, and then I was able to win the Brazilian Nationals, for the first time. Was my first Brazilian Nationals 2015. I was a fresh blue belt. And then I win as a purple, and I win as a purple belt I win. And it was like, okay, man, I win the Brazilian Nationals, but now I won the worlds, the biggest. In Brazil, Brazilian Nationals is big, it's like like the worlds. It's one of the tough tournaments, and I win 6 times. And I say, now I need, like go and look for something bigger than the Brazilian Nationals. And was the worlds. I didn't have any idea about the United States, these things, was kind of, I remember people from Felipe that helped me a lot on this process. First, I have my visa denied, I was able to come on the first part of the year. And then I wait a little and I apply again, was accepted. Then I will come here. I fought the Worlds in 2017 as a purple belt. I get 3rd place in my division, 3rd place in open class. And then the following year, 2018, I come to fight again as a purple belt and I win my division. And then end of 2018, I moved to America. Like I had this opportunity to come to Gracie-Barra Westchase.
Nice. And I want to talk quite a bit about your experience in the United States, your experience at Gracie-Barra Westchase, and in particular, your experience with a guy that you and I know really well that I think we both have a world of respect for, Opiano Malasheas. Sure. But before we do that, so I think what people maybe might not appreciate if they're not into jiu-jitsu is it costs money to go to tournaments. It costs money to enter tournaments. It costs money to train for tournaments. And so
you don't make money. Like people sometimes think like, man, but you win the awards, but no, it's no money yet, jiu-jitsu kind of like you have to build your name, and the federation, that's the biggest, they don't pay money,
Yeah. And, some of that's changing a little bit now, which I think is awesome because they've got private grappling events and, things with big purses and submission only events. Matter of fact, you fought in the UFC Submission Underground at least one time. Yeah. So
it was nice.
Yeah. So, but what people don't realize is like, you have to really have a passion for the sport, especially when you're starting out, if you don't have any money, because it costs money to go to these tournaments. But one thing you said is, and one thing I want to hear a little bit about, because I know a lot of people interested in jiu-jitsu in particular will like to hear about the gold team in Brazil. So as I understand it, the gold team is essentially kind of like an all-star team in jiu-jitsu. So tell us a little bit about your experience with the gold team.
Yes, was I think year of 2017, June, May. Felipe, I said already, he's like one of the biggest names in jiu-jitsu. He make a selection to select like 15 of the best guys in Brazil to start training under him. And I went to the trials. First was like you have to send the email, and it was about like 1,000 emails if I'm not wrong. And I sent my try getting,
wow,
because it's a good opportunity. Like you said, it's hard to, especially in the beginning, it's so hard to leave from jiu-jitsu. You have to do something parallel to be able to sustain your dream. And then I moved. I went there to the trials, and it was like 25 guys of my weight. And we start training everybody, and have 3 guys who always like see how train, and they kind of evaluate it. They see if you're doing well, if you're doing good. And from these 25, I was one of the 5 he select for this group.
Nice.
And then have another lightweight groups was select more 6, 7 guys. And then we start with this was 15 people totally, and we start like on this project, and like the first week, like the first week of training, like on my city, I train like 3 times a week. When I started, it was like 1 hour a day. In jiu-jitsu on my city, it was not like every day. You don't have, even if you want to go, you don't have, And I was training 3 times a week. And when I moved to Preguiça, it was 3 times a day.
Wow.
Because it's a profession. And in the first week, like 6 guys, 5 guys, already quit, because like everybody start, man, this is not like, it's not human. You train 3 times a day. Like, it's not like you train with people that is like people that train for hobby, you train 2 hours with professional athletes that try win the same as you, like, the competitive is get higher, and was tough. The first week I get sick, I remember, was like the great experience, you train with Felipe, you see the guy like that achieve what you want to achieve close to you, like say, man, it's possible, he's here, and we had this opportunity to train with him like 2 years, and man, one of the best experience I ever had, I say, like, was that I kind of learned how to be a professional athlete, and how to train, because before it's kind of like I train one time, let's say one time Monday, one time Wednesday, one time Friday, and do some like a physical preparation was kind of enough. But when I went there, it's not, you're going to train 3 times a day, and you're going to have to do your physical preparation, and I think that built a lot of my mentality, because like, man, it was tough, some days you don't want to train, some days you exhaust, like so tired, you didn't want to like wake up, and Felipe, he has some rules, you cannot miss train, like you wake up, you call him and say, hey, I'm feeling bad, they say, hey, come feeling bad, it's no problem, come train, and I think I learned a lot from this shoe, kind of like no matter what happened, he always there, train, do the work, and he expect us do the same. And most of us, always push ourselves to train hard and help him, and of course growing together, and it was kind of like this, man, like was every day train 3 times a day, 2 hours each session, kind of.
Wow.
It's kind of like, it's like say it was one thing that I love it, was perfect for my life, but I don't know if I would, like if you see outside, you say, man, it's too much. I remember all the guys, the physical preparations, this guy say, man, Felipe, it's too much. This kid's train too much. And he say, hey, I did like this, like I'm just tell them how I did to succeed, if they want to do as me, let's go. If not, you can go home, no problem. we're gonna keep friends, but you go home and it's done.
Yeah, yeah. And
if you want to stay here, you're gonna have to work hard.
And if you want to be, and I think that's a good lesson there, Pedro, no matter what you're doing. If you want to be one of the best in the world, which I think it's fair to say everybody on Felipe's team they wanted to be one of the best in the world, then you have to work harder than everybody else. I mean, it's not, I think sometimes people make things too complicated. Like it's not really that complicated. If you want to be good, you have to do your sport or your business or whatever it is a lot. And a lot of people just don't want that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If people just want to do it for a hobby or they want to be okay. But the people on the gold team, people like you, people like Felipe, it's kind of a different mentality. I mean, it's like you want to be the absolute best in the world. You have to train. I mean, you've got like the Danaher Death Squad now, they train the same deal every single day, multiple times a day. And that's what it takes to be the best. And so you were on the gold team for 2 years. Is that right?
2 years.
Is that where you met Bruno Matias?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys who was the light, now he's my weight, but on that time he was light.
Yeah.
And he one of we stay in the same room.
Yeah.
It was like, man, it's like, was a small house,
Yeah.
like you think 15 guys live in a small house, like one restroom, one wash machine. And you think we train 3 times a day, how it's like fights and fights to wash the gi,
Yeah.
one kitchen, you have to share with everybody. It was like I say, it was one time of a lot of learn, like one thing that it was hard some days, but I would never change the experience that I had there, was the best I could have, and the lows and the highs, was perfect. I needed that.
And this was you said, I think this was about 12 hours from where you grew up in a different state.
Yeah.
And so you were there, how old were you at the time?
I was I think 20 years old, 19
20 years
20,
old.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're pretty young and you leave your house, and were you away from your family this whole time?
Yeah. Like the 2 years now, I kind of 15 days, 1 month a month, I able to go home, I have a card in Brazil that you pay less on the bus, and I go bus 12 hours, normally I would go Friday and come back Sunday night, to get a train Monday morning.
Nice. And how were you able to pay your bills for the 2 years when you're doing nothing but training jiu-jitsu?
I remember I was working on a construction before, on the glass company.
Yeah.
Of my, the glass company, I was working there. And when, I think it was January 2017, I didn't have this thing about Felipe yet. But, man, I wake up one day and I say, man, I don't want to do one thing, I don't want to work with this, it's not one thing that I like. And I don't want to do this my whole life. I want to do jiu-jitsu. And one day I get there with my boss and say, can you fire me, please? I explained for him the situation. I say, now I remember my mom is pressure a lot, to study these things. And I say, I'm going to give to jiu-jitsu 2 years, full start, see something. I'm going to give these 2 years. They're supposed to be on school, done something, 2-4 years, that I would be on the school, I study for university, these things. And I moved there and I get some money. When you in Brazil, they fire you, they give some money for you,
Yeah.
And I remember it was 4,000 reais. It's kind of less than $1,000, Yeah. But I was, like I say, I was a smart guy, Felipe, he pay food and the house. I have to pay my tournaments and my transportation,
Yeah.
And I have a sponsor at the time. He paid my transportation was 200 reais. He paid me every month $15,
yeah,
$50 a month. and I pay the guy to the transportation, right? And the other time I was like this, like selling brigadeiros, you know, like when I went to Angra, my city, I work as a security, you know.
Yeah.
Like I remember because when they have the holidays is the time that you don't have a tournament, you don't have a train, you know, like on all the holidays, I work as a security, you know. I remember my New Year's, you know, like everybody going party, blah, 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 and my wife get like Victoria, my wife get home, and I went to work, you know, like on New Year's, man, I'm doing security, you know, but like say, I'll pay off, you know, like work, and with that, and kind of like, and then the thing start kind. To be honest, like I was able to live as a professional athlete here, you know. That was like I learned how to train. I learned, you know, like I just do jiu-jitsu every day. But on these things like about tournaments, I always have to kind of like some help, you know, people always help me from my city, from Felipe. Some people pay some tournaments, you know. Was kind of because did I say I'm blessed, you know, man. All my life I had great people around me, you know, that helped me achieve my dreams, you know.
No doubt about that, Pedro. You know, and but let me say something to you about that. I think part of the reason, and we'll talk about this just a little bit, but you and I have had a little bit of a relationship with some of your fights lately, and you know, when we talked about it, I mean, it was like I felt honored to be able to sponsor a guy like you, and so I want to suggest to you that one of the reasons that people have supported you and helped you along the way is because of what a great person you are. Like you're just like I said, you're just such a positive, inspirational person. Plus, you're a really, really hard worker. And so I think a lot of that, you know, it's not just luck. It's not just being fortunate. It's also because of you are who you are. And so I think there's a lesson there. People want to help people that work hard, that do the right thing, that keep their nose clean, that stay out of trouble. I mean, there's basically an unlimited number of people that will help people that are doing the right thing, which sounds like you've always kind of done. So after the 2 years on the gold team, tell us how you ended up coming to the United States. Like who did you meet, and how did that kind of work out?
I have a friend that he was before me here in Piano. But he stayed 3 months and he went back. You know, he didn't want to stay. I don't know how it worked, but I know he went back to Brazil. And Piano need another guy here, you know, to kind of like get this 3 months experience for maybe he stay, you know.
And did you know Piano before?
No, at all.
Okay, all right.
No, at all. I think he moved here like, you know, a lot of years. I didn't hear about him too much, like in Brazil.
And he's from Belo Horizonte too, isn't he?
Yeah,
originally.
Yeah. After I like start knew him, I everybody else talk, you know, like. But before I kind of like don't have too many people who kind of like have a close relationship with, you know, me and Piano. But I have this friend, and he told Piano about me, you know. I just like won the Brazilian Nationals, I remember. And 1 week after, I think I talked with Piano, you know, like he called me through this guy, you know, Gabriel and Bitin. It was 2 guys that Piano's friend that they know me, and they kind of like introduced us. And Piano called me, you know. On the first, like I said to you, I didn't have too much like I didn't know how is United States that much, you know, like I didn't have too much idea.
Yeah.
And I remember he called me and say, man, you know, like I need a guy here to stay 3 months, to come. You like gonna get experience, learn a little English, you know, like and compete, you know. He said, I'm gonna support you on your competitions here in the United States. And I remember I said, okay, you know, I talked with him, but it's kind of like Texas, Houston. You know, I say, man, Texas on my mind. the guys of,
riding horses and wearing cowboy hats.
Yeah. And say, okay, I'm gonna think right here. I'm gonna talk with Professor Felipe, and I'm gonna talk with you back. And I talked with Felipe. Felipe, like I say, I was in a good phase in Brazil, of my tournaments, and I was one of his main training partners too,
Yeah.
And when I talked with him, he's kind of was, no happy. He said, man, you have a great future, focus on just competing and focus here. And I say, okay, I talk with Piano. I say, Piano, thanks for the opportunity, but, don't want to work for me this time, blah, blah, blah. But, man, then I went home, and I start think. I say, man, I don't want to look back and say, how would go that, how would go how could go if I go to United States, and I think, and man, I talk with Felipe, again, I say, Professor, I want to go, I don't want to look back and regret nothing, I want to get the opportunity. It's 3 months. If it didn't work, I come back, and I call Piano, I talk to Felipe. Felipe is okay. I call Piano and say, hey, you need somebody yet? He say, yeah, man, I'm waiting for you. I say, you can buy my chicks that I'm going,
Nice.
And it was like that. And we talk October, November, I was moving to here to stay 3 months.
Yeah.
And it was like I started competing, these 3 months was great. I win the awards. My first world title was a purple belt. I come here in November, December, I win my awards. And in January, Professor Piano, he give me he asked me if I want to stay. He said, you want to stay here, Pedro? I apply for your visa. I support you on your tournaments, and you help me on the school, teaching and represent the school, Say, I want somebody here that, have the same vision that I have. I want to have a champion on my academy. You want to be a champ, I think could be perfect. And I say, yes, I stay here and I talk with Felipe, boom, fix. I stay here, and man, was one of the best decisions I ever made. After that, my life just goes up and up. I started competing a lot in professional events.
Yeah.
Here, I remember was a purple belt, and I win purple belt. I win the Kazai qualifier. Was nice. In tournament in New York. What was my first experience in another state here? I went to California already to fight there, but was different, New York. I went by myself, didn't speak English at all, and that's hard, man. You have to get a lot of metro, these things.
Yeah.
And it was tough, but I went there, I win this qualifier. And then I was qualified to compete in the same event that Felipe, how life is crazy. He was invited, he was invited to fight this tournament. And I win the qualifier, and I was able to be on the main event with him, no fight each other, but in separate sides,
Beautiful. Yeah.
What nice.
Isn't that something else? Yeah. The student has become the master kind of thing. Well, you said something at the beginning of that, Pedro, which I think was really, really important. And I want to highlight that. You said, you started thinking about this opportunity to come to the United States, and you didn't want to look back and have regrets about not having tried it. And I think that is a great way to look at things. I tell you, when I started my law firm in 2003, I think. So it's almost 20 years now. But I remember I had a really good job at a good firm. I was making good money. And I could have done that for a very long time. And then I got this opportunity to start my own business. And, I was scared. I was nervous. I was afraid, what if it doesn't work? And, the thing that kind of did it for me was I didn't want to look back in 10 or 15 years and have regrets about not having tried it. And so what I was thinking in my head was, what would be worse, trying and failing or never trying at all? And to me, the never trying at all was way worse. And it turned out to be for me at least, a phenomenal decision. It sounds like so far, at least, it's been a great decision for you to come to the United States. And so for people that aren't familiar with the jiu-jitsu community, and in particular the Brazilian jiu-jitsu community, there's figures in the community, just like in any sport or anything like that, that are kind of legendary figures. And I think it's fair to say Opiano Malasheas, a 4-stripe Brazilian black belt, trained with Royce Gracie, from Brazil, started the very first Gracie-Barra franchise anywhere ever. I think it was in Santa Clara, California, but truly kind of a legend in the community. And so you had an opportunity to come to the United States and basically learn from a legend of the sport. And one of the best. And you just left Felipe, who's also a legend in the sport, one of the best. And so you've had some pretty good, I don't want to say luck, but some pretty good opportunities in terms of who your mentors have been. But I was talking to Opiano yesterday, actually, and I said, "Hey, Pedro's coming on the podcast. Is there anything that you think I should ask him about?" And he said, "Ask him about the first time he trained with me." Okay. So I want to hear about. And Opiano's 42 now, I think. Like I said, he's a 4-stripe black belt. I trained with him sometime too. It's like playing golf with Tiger Woods, training with Piano. But tell us what it was like the first time you trained with Piano.
I remember I went to he take me on the airport, and on the way we were talking about one of his students. Like, man, this guy's tough, bro. And was, like I said, the first time we kind of meet in person, and we went straight to train. We went to train, and I started training this student, and I was doing well with his student, and Piano, I already like, because he was talking a lot of good things about this student, and he's good, but I was doing well with him. And Piano step in, like, how it is, Pitbull, he step in and say, "Let's go with me,"
Yeah.
And then on the beginning, he start like, he do that how to say that he kicks sometimes the leg right there to do some takedown, judo takedown.
Yeah.
And then he started boom one on my
leg picks. Yeah, those leg picks and leg kicks. Because he started in judo. I mean, he's an expert in judo too, right? And what he's doing there on me, I try like connect my fingers with him, and he's kind of like say, "Man, I'm always scared." I say, "Man, I'm just Gary. This guy's crazy." He's like, I say, "Man, I remember $200. I say, I don't even have the money to pay the ticket to go back." And I was kind of scared. And on the end, and I didn't want to try with nothing like paying back. I say, "Crazy, bro, this guy, he's real." And I was talking to him after, say, "Professor, you like some kicks, huh?" Like, I started like break there. But was like, okay, he gained my respect, like I say, okay. I think like this sometimes, like because to be honest, like when I move, I thought, say, okay, man, like I'm one of the best schools in Brazil. I know Gracie-Barra Westchase is one of the best schools, but I have been competing a lot. And when I get here and I train to him, and I'm like, man, he's tough, he's real. Yeah.
Like, and I trained it, all the professors, man, tough, real. Was that feeling like, okay, man, I'm on the right place as well, like I didn't lost like nothing from the other school.
Yeah,
like
and
I was
you need good training
my
partners.
level.
Yeah, if you want to get better, you got to have the training partners to do it. People that aren't involved in jiu-jitsu maybe don't know like how important it is to have good training partners. And that doesn't just mean tough training partners. That means people you can train with regularly that aren't going to injure you accidentally and stuff. So you want somebody, you want people that are tough, that are really skilled, but that are also smart in the way they train. And, one of the things that Opiano, for people that are interested in maybe exploring jiu-jitsu, that I think is awesome that he emphasizes all the time in class, and you've heard it a million times. Matter of fact, you've started to emphasize it in the classes you teach, is be smart. If you want to get good in jiu-jitsu, you got to train jiu-jitsu a lot. And if you're getting hurt all the time because you're not being a good training partner, you can't get better. And so the only way to get better, we can go full speed when we're training in the competition class or in the tournaments and stuff. But I like the emphasis. I think there's a lot of people, Pedro, that don't know anything about jiu-jitsu or martial arts in general that might be a little scared to come into the studio because they think you're fighting the whole time 100%. Yeah. And that's not necessarily true. But, one of the cool things about Gracie-Barra Westchase and what Opiano's put together that I love, and I know this is not, our gym is not the only gym that's like this, but our gym is really good, is you've literally got a kids program. There's 4 and 5-year-old kids that are coming in there. You've got plenty of women that train jiu-jitsu. We also have a Muay Thai and a striking gym. We have most people, I think, at our gym they don't compete either professionally or in tournaments. They do it. There's people that are my age. I'm 49 today. There's people that are older than me. But then we've also got people like you and Bruno and some of our other competitors who are literally some of the best in the world. So, I mean, it's like having, it's just a great atmosphere because you have the best jiu-jitsu in the world. But then you also have kids programs and beginners programs and older people and younger people. So, I didn't expect this at all when I started jiu-jitsu. Nobody had ever told me this before, but it's like a real family atmosphere, which I love. So tell us a little bit about like your philosophy on that sort of stuff.
Man, like you said, a lot of people think jiu-jitsu rough, is this, that, but if you know more than anybody, it's kind of, you said, it's like family, like you start to belong, like on that, like say on that team, like even when you come for the first time, the first time we're gonna joke with you, we're gonna, like have these things like when you get there, bro, you got family, like say we together on this, like, and I think. Like we really apply here in the Gracie-Barra Westchase, the Gracie-Barra idea of jiu-jitsu for everyone, Yeah. Like we have all levels, like you said already, if you want to be professional, we can help you become professional. If you want to just do for hobby, that for me is the best part of jiu-jitsu. For me, you do jiu-jitsu like for something like jiu-jitsu is a skill, like jiu-jitsu is a skill for life. I think when you start training jiu-jitsu, your life outside get better. No I don't know why, but I'm sure it helps, And
it's absolutely amazing to me. And it gets to the point where a lot of my friends are like, Brian, all you do is talk about jiu-jitsu, right? but you're right. It's like, and there's 500 different things I could say that it's improved my life. But one of the things I'm a better lawyer now because of jiu-jitsu. And, I could talk about maybe why that might be. I mean, my confidence is better. I'm more able to deal with difficult situations. I mean, like when you're training jiu-jitsu and you got a 250-pound person on top of you smashing you, right?
You can push as much as you want.
You push as you want, but you're not going to get them off. You have to learn how to relax, use your mind, calm down in those situations. And, that's applicable. That applies to life in general. But talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, Piano, talk a little bit about when you came to the United States, like how the cultural differences have been for you. What have you noticed between like the major differences or some of the good things or some of the similarities between Brazil and the United States, and in particular Texas?
Man, when I moved here, it was hard in the beginning. Like I say, I didn't speak English at all. No English, I was more trained in the beginning, and I started to get some words. And I think like you don't have too much difference, but I see like Brazilians see jiu-jitsu as a fight,
Yeah.
And like he is much more sport. I don't know if you understand, but in Brazil, it's really a fight, like we train, it's the same environment, but say the mentality is a fight, And here in America, like I say, 3 years ago, it was like that, And one of the main difference that I see like was like I would say the professional, part. Like say it's not just about say athlete part, but say how jiu-jitsu here is really like say you have at the gym here who open every day, like you have you have a class in the morning, class in lunch, afternoon, like even it's like, man, you can train every day jiu-jitsu, like. And in Brazil, on my time when I was there, don't have that much gyms like this on my city at least,
Yeah.
Don't have too much. It's kind of like you train 3 times a week, and some places have more, but it's not that much. And for me, the biggest difference, like I felt like jiu-jitsu is like professional, when you go teach, you have your schedule right, to what you're gonna teach this week. You know already the ideas you have to pass on that situation. And at least on my time in Brazil, we don't have them that much,
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like a professor get there, he show you one position, and then like the next class he show you another totally different sometimes, of what he taught Monday.
Yeah.
And it was like that. He teach 1 time, 2 times, and hey, let's go. We do a lot of we do a lot of physical things. And here jiu-jitsu is like I say, there is not, you have, of course you have the people older, but like I say, the training was tough, like, exhaustion. And here I think like we have the good balance, if you want to train hard, we're going to have the class to train hard. But if you just want to train like normal, like for you're going to have the class. I think this is the nicest thing, like in America, like I think jiu-jitsu become and it just have been growing more and more, it become bigger. And let's say when jiu-jitsu become or have been become, they have to professionalize and get better, right? Like piano, always piano talk with me about like, you need to improve this, you need to improve that. Like, it's no one thing that just because, let's say I'm world champ, I'm gonna get here and show you guys whatever I want, and hey, do it.
Yeah.
I have to explain why we're doing that. Why this week we work on this, like. And I think it was this more like the professional thing, like even as a gym.
Well, and I'll tell you, I've been to a couple other gyms when I was out of town, and they weren't even necessarily Gracie-Barra gyms. And I know people that train at other gyms, and there's a reason that Gracie-Barra Westchase has been so successful. And that's because, first of all, the Gracie-Barra program in general, I think, is a really, really good program. But the leader of the Gracie-Barra Westchase is a very, very good leader. I mean, he's organized. He walks the walk. He's authentic. He knows how to do all the jobs. He's a very good speaker. He's a very good teacher, and he's a good person. And that, so it's, in other words, it's not an accident that Gracie-Barra Westchase has been so successful. And that's, primarily, I think, because of the person who runs the thing. Well, let's talk about, so I got to ask you this question. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're famous in the jiu-jitsu community. There's various different types of what we call submission moves. There's arm bars, there's different kinds of chokes, there's different kinds of ways you can attack your opponent's legs. But your move is something called the guillotine, or you've become so good at this, it's become such your signature move that now people, what do they call it? The Marinhotine.
Marinhotine, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about, so the Marinhotine, basically for people that aren't familiar with jiu-jitsu, involves a kind of a frontward grabbing of the neck. And then basically if you grab the person correctly, the fight is essentially over with, right? So how did you develop that move, and what is it about that particular move that you like so much?
Man, I remember like I started jiu-jitsu 17 to 18 years old. It was kind of like all my friends are already doing, like, younger than me. And I say, man, how am I going to catch up? Like, and I was looking, man, I say, man, this guillotine is one thing that, like, no matter, let's say, no matter how big you are, no matter how fast, if you get there, like, and you know how lock well, it's gonna be something that gonna submit the guy, you know.
Yeah.
And I was start looking there, you know, I say, man, I'm gonna start try. And I start try the guillotine. It was an easy position to learn too, right? It was the first position one of the first position to learn jiu-jitsu. And I start apply, but in the beginning was not doing well, you know, like I was like lost a lot, like some matches, sometimes I lost because I tried do it and didn't work, you know. And people say, man, stop doing this, you know. But I was believing that every time that I make a mistake on the guillotine, I find something new that I can improve, you know, like all the time. I fail on this time, but man, I think it was because my elbow was like open or this or that. And I was kind of like a build over time, you know, my position. And since like 2017, it was something that purple belt, when I get become something strong for me, you know, something that make me confident. You know, like I say, I know if everything goes wrong, I have that one. You know, like it's like that guy who have a good punch. You can get beat up, but if you put one punch on you, it's like the same thing for me, the guillotine. For you know, and was one position that I started to succeed a lot with. And when I moved here, become even better because I started training wrestling with Professor Servando.
Yeah.
When I start training wrestling, I become like so confident and take people down, you know, like, and the only way that they're going to try, like, if they try to take me down, I apply the guillotine.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't try, I take them down and I apply the guillotine on top, from on top. And it was a thing that over time I was like a building, you know, and like you said, it was become something like special for me. I say like, I'm a great fighter, you know, I believe I'm really good in jiu-jitsu, but the guillotine is something special that make me kind of like special in this area, you know, like it's something that I really master.
And, you know, you mentioned something about wrestling there. And, you know, I think it's fair to say, Pedro, that over the years, wrestling has become a much, much bigger part of jiu-jitsu, particularly in no-gi. And wrestling, frankly, has become a big deal in mixed martial arts too. And you have really, really worked hard. We have a black belt professor at Gracie-Barra Westchase, Servando, who's an expert at wrestling, teaches competitive wrestling classes. And so you've really, really focused a lot on your wrestling, and it shows. And so the problem, and again, I'm going to describe the people that know about jiu-jitsu. I don't have to describe this to you people, but for people that aren't familiar with jiu-jitsu, essentially you start standing up. So both competitors are standing up. And then one of the competitors, usually what we do it taking a shot or tries to take the other person to the ground. The problem that people have when they fight you is when you take a shot at somebody, you have to kind of lower your level, and that opens them up to your guillotine. And so if people are taking shots at you, they need to be super, super careful. And if they don't take shots at you, don't try to take you down, then that opens up your offensive game where you can take people down. So that makes you a really, really tough guy to beat. But I'll tell you, Pedro, you said something just a second ago about how, you know, maybe your elbow was a little out of place, or maybe, you know, the little tweaks of the position. And one of the things that is totally addictive for me for jiu-jitsu is, like, the more I train, the more details I realize I need to learn. And it's so deep in terms of, you know, just putting your hand in a little bit different position, your weight in a little bit position, you know, making a little bit different grip. It's just like endlessly fascinating, you know? And so what are you working on? I want to talk a little bit about you're right now the 2-time double champ in world no-gi. I want to talk about that a little bit, but what are you working on right now in your own personal jiu-jitsu game? Like where do you think your weaknesses are, and what are your strengths and weaknesses, and how are you working on your game right now?
And I have been working like a lot in leg locks, you know. I still like work on a lot of my wrestling. I feel like it gets solid on top. Of course, I need a lot of work, you know, but I'm getting solid on top, like with my passing guards. But I need like in training, I'm able to do it, but I had to get more confident to apply on the competition. It's my my leg lock game, you know, my guard more. I usually prefer go stay on top, you know,
Yeah.
but sometimes like when sometimes you get tough people, you're not able to take them down, you know, and the match get a little boring because head to head.
Yeah.
Então, I want to be more confident to pull guard, you know, and play my guards. And because these I have been working a lot on leg locks, you know, like some different types of guard. And yeah, I have been working a lot on this.
Nice.
I'm excited to the future. You know, I want to kind of gain some weight to start to fight heavier.
Yeah.
I want to get the big boys, beat them up.
Well, let's talk. Let's talk a little bit about for people that aren't again familiar with jiu-jitsu. Pedro is the current double champ no-gi in the world, and what that means is you fought heavyweight. Was that the division you fought? So you fought heavyweight, and then you fought the open division, which means essentially anybody of any weight can enter, and you won gold medal in your division, which was black belt heavyweight, and then you won your gold medal in the open division against somebody who is pretty much again another legend, Cyborg. Tell us about like your preparation for no-gi, because I think you weren't you hurt for quite a while? Like you almost didn't compete in the Worlds, right?
Yeah. I fought the Pan Ams and I hurt my feet on the finals.
Yeah.
And I was already on the Pan Am with my back bad. You know, like jiu-jitsu compete a lot. Sometimes your body kind of get. And I had to pull out of a tournament, like who's number one, supposed to be one of the biggest tournaments of the year for me.
Yeah.
And I had to pull out and I was sad, man, you know, but I was like, okay, I'm going to give all my energy to the words, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't was able to train that much, you know. I remember we have the camp. I trained one day and the other day I wake up in pain, you know, like say, I'm going to take it easy these days. And I didn't, like I say, I always believe, Brian, like in all tournaments, if you tell me to compete tomorrow, you know, I don't just put in count like the 1 week, 2 weeks that I have been training for that tournament. I put my years and years, and I say, man, I have been doing this like 8 years now, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like this. I say, okay, I don't want to train that much. I'm going to take care of my body. I'm going to keep just active, you know, and I'm going to see how it goes, you know. And close to the words, I supposed to fight as a medium heavy.
Yeah.
But I have a friend who went on this division, you know, and I didn't want like Hunter was on this division too.
Yeah, Hunter, yeah, sure.
And another friend from Brazil that I know him.
Yeah.
And like I would have to fight one of them, you know, and I didn't want that. And now, okay, I go up. I went to heavyweight to close out with Bruno. But Bruno had some problem in the middle. I went to the tournament and I was kind of like, I didn't want to fight the open class, you know, because like I said, I was lighter and I was, man, you know, I'm already know 100%. But I was talking one day before with Bruno saying, man, let's go to this open class, you know, let's go, man. We can close out both, you know, like we can close out the heavyweight and the open class. And I signed up. The first day I get wearing a guy like a super heavyweight, you know, like the guy who at least 50 pounds more than me.
50 pounds more than you? Wow.
At least, yeah.
That's a big difference. Big difference.
Yeah. And I was able, boom, I finished him like less than 2 minutes, you know.
Nice. What'd you get him with?
And I take him down, get his back and rear neck choke.
Nice.
And then I saw, man, you know. But my next round, I thought it was just one match on that day, on the open class. But I had to do 3, and I didn't know. I said, man,
oh God.
If I knew, I didn't sign up, you know.
Yeah.
But thank God, I don't knew. I didn't know about that. And I went. I say, okay, thank you. You know, I'm gonna go back later to fight my division. No, you have one more match. And my next match was Victor Hugo.
Oh,
He's
huge too.
He's 80 pounds. You know, like
For people that don't know, Victor Hugo is a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He is a big dude, and he is good at jiu-jitsu.
And he was the last like open class world champion, you know.
Yeah.
And I say, man, this is a good deal, you know, like. But I have one thing, like I'm so competitive, like I love, like I say, I understand the defeat, when I have some loss.
Yeah.
But man, I think like win has something that nothing has in the world, like,
Yeah.
and I always seek for that, And against Vitor Hugo, I say, man, it's time to prove, who I want to become the number one in the world. I don't want to be like the guy who people around me are, Pedro is good because they are my friend, Like I say, I want to be the number one best in the world, and I want to really prove this every time that I step there, that I'm the best. And what's this? I say it's a great chance for me, I'm gonna get this guy. He was the last open class world champ, and I can show people that I'm here for real, like. And when I fought him, it was hard, I was able to get some advantage. I try. He first he tried like kind of intimidate me, He say like stand, I take him down, crazy.
Nice.
People was crazy, man. You crazy? How you pick that guy up?
Yeah.
Say let's go. And then I was able to do, and I control whole match. I was able to controlling whole match. And after that, when I beat him, I said, man, nobody stopped me more. Like I will win. And my next round was Adam Aziz. He was the last heavyweight world champ.
Wow.
Like I say,
so
people
just champ after champ, they're just lining them up, and you're taking them all down. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it was like, I say, people, the words was special. Of course, the words is special, but not just about the title, but the people that was on the way, that one day forward, I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, man, like Adam Aziz was the last heavyweight world champ. I beat him on points. I did like 90 points on him. And I went to the finals, was against Cyborg.
Yeah.
And then I get home and I have to fight my division the same day, like 4 fights in the same day. Ooh, was tough. And I get back. I had Adam Bradley, another guy from Atos. This guy, he talk a little, like, and I won a lot fight him. I wanted a lot fight him, and I beat him up. He deserved and bad. And then he talked too much, like.
Yeah.
And the other day I have a more formats. Was like in the morning I submit my match quickly too, like less than 2 minutes. I take the guy down, rear neck choke. I get Adam Aziz again.
Nice.
And he's tough, man. For me, he's one of the toughest guys I fought in the world, Adam Aziz, because he don't stop attacking. He's that guy who constantly try attacking, like
constant. Yeah.
And you kind of like, you don't have a time to breathe, to think,
Yeah.
And I beat him on points. I did 6 points on him, and I beat him. And I went to the finals against Wagner Royce Cyborg. It was kind of for me, Wagner on my division and Cyborg on the open class. I already fought Wagner.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, 2020, 2019. I think 2020. And no, 2019, 2020. I fought him, and I remember Wagner, he have a style who he talk on the middle of the match,
Yeah.
He has kind of like, he tried.
I remember watching that match, and I could see his mouth moving. I didn't know what he was saying, but I could see he was chattering at you. Yeah.
He talked a lot, like I remember our match, he talked, and kind of the first time we fought, I kind of get into that, and he was able to take me down. He win by points. And these words, I say, man, I need, focus on me, focus on my fight. I don't care who's in front of me, It's not about the guys, about me. What I gonna do?
Yeah.
And was like that, man. I focus, I close, I talk with Piano, we make a good strategy, like how gonna go the match. And it was crazy that we did the strategy so well because we knew kind of what they expected for us, like, because we train already together, these things, and they know I'm a explosive guy. I like attacking a lot. I don't stop.
Yeah.
Don't stop attacking. But with Piano, we say, okay, we're going to calm down the beginning. They expect you come crazy on the beginning for you get tired. And at the end of the fight, they start attacking you.
Yeah.
Right. And I say, okay. And we did that. Like, was perfect, man. Like I say, Wagner, he's like, 2 times second place in HCC, you know,
another legendary
UFC,
competitor.
Yeah. And Cyborg, 7 times world champ, you know. I think like was special, you know. I did the same strategy to both. The match was kind of similar, both. I beat Wagner in points and Cyborg on the decision. And was kind of, you know, like when that finished, man, it's kind of like you don't believe that much, you know. Say, man, I dreamed this my whole life, and it's happening, you know. And I had just 7 months as a black belt. It was like, man, it's real, you know. Like I'm really one of the best, you know. Because sometimes we believe on that. I always believe, you know, like I know how much work I put into this, you know.
Yeah.
And I know how like I deserve, you know, like all the time that I go fight these things, I know that I deserve win, you know. This is the most important thing for me. You know, I know that, okay, I'm here and I deserve it. Because sometimes when you don't do things right, you're going to get doubts on your mind. You know, like, man, this guy may train more than me. Man, you know, you start to have doubts. And I never had this there. You know, I say, I know how much work I put in. And even the days that I didn't was able to train, it was not because I didn't want to train. You know, it's because I couldn't. You know, I have some injuries. And man, it was perfect when did I say, yeah, man, now it's real, you know, like I think this gives me even more confidence, you know, like I was a confident guy. Like I said, it's no confident on me, but I believe in all the work I put in, and I believe God see everything from there, you know, like, and he always in certain way helped me out.
Beautiful.
And was the dream come true, double gold. And now I just want more and more.
and you said something there that is important to note, I think, and that is you'd only been a black belt for 7 months. I think Cyborg has been a black belt longer than you've been alive, essentially, right?
He has 7 titles as a black belt.
7 titles. Wow.
Each month as a black belt that I have, he has one with title.
It's unbelievable. And it makes a big difference in jiu-jitsu. Being a 5-year black belt knows more, generally speaking, than a 7-month black belt. So that's a really, really impressive part of that. For, again, the jiu-jitsu community knows all about that. But for people that don't know about that, when you first start fighting black belt tournaments, when you get your black belt, it's tough. Yeah. I mean, it's you could have guys that have been black belts for 20 years that you're fighting against. Well, let me ask you this, Pedro. So, and I have a friend that he's from Dallas. He's one of my best friends. I got him into jiu-jitsu. Now he's totally addicted to it. And so we have a house in College Station, and they just opened a Gracie-Barra in College Station a couple of weeks ago. We went up and trained there, and we were talking to the Professor Milton, about gi versus no gi. So we did one gi class and one no gi class. And there are people that, like when I first started out, I thought the gi was super uncomfortable and hot, and I didn't like it that much. And the no gi was easier because I could slip out of position. You're sweaty and there's less stuff to hold on to. But I tell you now, having done both, I like them both equally. But some people, and so for the language for people that aren't into jiu-jitsu, the gi is what looks like kind of the karate uniform with the belt and the jacket and the pants and all that. No gi is where people are wearing like the tight shirts and the tight shorts, and you can't grab onto people's clothing. So the original idea behind the gi, I think, and tell me if I'm right about this, Pedro, was originally Brazilian jiu-jitsu was developed by the Gracies as self-defense, and people would be wearing like sport jackets and pants in the streets and stuff. So it was supposed to kind of help mimic what a real fight would be like and how you would protect yourself in a real fight. But anyway, Professor Milton and my friend and I were talking about gi versus no gi, and Professor Milton said something I thought was good. He said, people say that no gi is more like a real street fight. He said, but actually the gi is probably as much or more like a real street fight, because people are wearing clothes and they're grabbing onto your shirt. If it's in a real fight, you got to know how to deal with that kind of thing. But what do you have a preference on gi or no gi, or do you like both about the same?
I like both the same. Like, I think like it helped me I think one help other, like no gi help gi because I become more explosive in the gi.
Yeah.
And also the technique, you have to think much more in the gi. And when you transfer no gi, it's like you have the mentality of gi on the no gi. You know what I mean? Like you're able to like play smarter on the no gi,
Yeah.
But like the difference for me is so hard to say, like, because I really don't see that much difference. No, I think both complete each other, complete each other.
Yeah.
And I like train both. Like I have been competing much more in Nogi. In America, Nogi is bigger because I think it's because of the wrestling, like the background. Everybody understands wrestling, most of people here.
Yeah.
And I think become easier and it's more in the gi, sometimes it's kind of more slow, right? You have to think much more.
Right.
Sometimes there's no one thing like to entertainment, who don't understand. If you understand jiu-jitsu and you're gonna see a gi match, you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's a lot of technique. You see like little space, one lapel right here, one choke out there.
Yeah.
In no gi, it's kind of like more explosive, more easy to understand. And because don't have nothing, you just see like it's just your body movement against the guy body movement,
Yeah.
I think it's easy to understand. But about these things like about street, but I think both helps, like we both. If I could give some advice and do both, I think
for
complete each other. You can like sometimes people prefer one training more. I think like gi you hurt less. You have less like less percentage of injuries.
Yeah.
In the gi is a little physical. Like sometimes if you get somebody, even you have a technique, a technique better than the other guy, they strain the weight, they count a little, and in the gi you don't have that much, right? Like in the gi you can have 300 pounds, we can train it to you normally, easy, you know what I mean? Like you can use the gi to sweep the guy to finish easy, no problem. In the gi it's not that easy, because like you sleep, like you said, you sleep easier, you can get out of the positions, like I say, you have less thing to worry about. Because when you train the gi, sometimes you don't see some lapel coming here, like,
right, exactly. Yeah.
And in the gi, you have like less this, you don't have to think too much about like things that you like. No one happen nothing too crazy. Let's say, of course, happen. Let's say like in the gi, sometimes you move, you think you're doing well, and some lapel pass on your neck, and you didn't even see come.
Yeah.
And in the gi, I think you don't have that much of this,
It's funny you'd say that because I used to I'd get bow and arrow choked in the gi, and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe that guy. And now like I can feel when that's coming, and I know what the guy's trying to do, and I have some defenses against it. But you're right. In no gi, there is no lapel chokes and stuff like that. So it's more like almost like a wrestling match. Matter of fact, I forget who told me this, but so Brian Cushing, the former NFL linebacker, trains at our gym, gi and no gi. I think he's a blue belt in the gi, but somebody was like, man, he's essentially like a brown belt in no gi. I mean, he is a monster in no gi because he's such a great athlete. But by the way, let me ask you this question, because you were talking earlier about, after having won the worlds, that it really gave you some confidence and stuff. But I remember watching you fight Nicky Rodriguez here in Houston a little over a year ago. And Nicky is a great wrestler and a big, strong dude. I mean, he probably 40 pounds heavier than you, something like that.
Yeah.
And you beat him. You beat him. I mean, everybody who saw it, there was a technicality in the rules, and he kind of took advantage of that, but you beat him, but the decision didn't go your way. And so, it was pretty obvious to me when I'm watching you fight Nicky Rodriguez, a guy that was so much bigger than you, that you were going to be a champ, but you had to kind of wait your turn a little bit. Pedro, let me ask you if do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah,
I got a few more questions for you. Okay, cool. So I want to ask you a couple questions about what the future holds for you, like what your plans are. But before we do that, what do you think it is? It doesn't just have to be one thing. What are the one thing or the few things that really, really make you good at jiu-jitsu? Why are you good at jiu-jitsu?
Man, I think I see jiu-jitsu a lot as a game. You know, like I wanna think faster than you. I wanna like how gonna say to you. I think what make me better like is that I don't say I don't know, like you understand me wrong, but I'm smart with jiu-jitsu. You know, like I did too much that I know where things going. You know, like I don't have like this problem of tapping training. You know, I always put myself in bad situations.
Yeah.
You know, and over time I was starting to see that like, man, you know, okay, let's say you close guard, you're gonna try armbar me, right? When you try armbar me and I defend, let's say I don't have that much defenses, have a 2 or 3 defense, you know. And if you're able to like from that defense have another like get another attack, let's say I did the armbar on you, you defend the armbar, but I'm already connect to the omoplata.
Nice.
You know,
nice.
I go to omoplata, you defend the omoplata, I'm already going to triangle, you know, like this one, the thing that I always try to put on my game is like my opponent always going to be behind, you know, like no matter what he does, I always going to, even if sometimes I kind of didn't find what I can do yet, you know, I'm really, really, really good and read the person, you know, like I know what's come. I sometimes like I was with Cyborg, good thing, like good example. I was fighting Cyborg and I hurt my hand Saturday, one day before with Adam Bradley. And I didn't able to do the guillotine that much. But they know I do a lot and they sometimes scare about, you know?
Yeah.
They didn't want to shoot. And I remember one time that he shoot on me. I tried first, but didn't work.
I remember that. I thought it was over with because you looked like you had it, but he got out of it. So
and he got out and kind of that give confidence to him shoot again. You know, when he shoot again and I put my guillotine, I kind of knew what he want to do is like the way that he want to defend the guillotine. Before he does, like I already see he kind of plan. I don't know how to, you know, how I explain, but I read on him like the way that the movement say, okay, he's gonna try to do this type of defense.
Yeah.
And when I apply the guillotine, he try to defend. I right away I let him go, and he roll by himself.
Nice.
You know, like
beautiful.
Yeah, and these like I think I'm really good in read the personal movements. You know, I always like put myself in bad situations in gym. You know, and put like say I go wrestle. I want to wrestle the best wrestlers. You know, I go train with the guard player. I'm gonna try pass his guard. You know, I'm gonna try with a good guy who pass well. I'm gonna play guard for him. You know, and these I think like one of the things that is kind of like a little different. I think I don't do jiu-jitsu like need to be these and that. You know, like for armbar you have to do like this, like that. For me, it's not. You know, like each person have a different moves. Each person have different type of bodies. You know, I try a lot like a read. You know, like what this guy is good at. Have a long legs. Have to be careful with the triangles. You know, he have a long arms. I have to be careful with dash chokes. These things. You know, and I think I'm good in read people. Understand a lot, like you know what they want to do before they do, and they don't know that I know.
That's beautiful. It's interesting you'd say that because today I trained at lunch and I was driving home and I was thinking to myself, you know, I've only been training for roughly 2 years, so I'm still a new guy. And so I'm thinking like, here's the steps for this move, here's the steps for this move. But I was thinking today on the drive back, I was like, you know, maybe I could let guys sweep me occasionally because as I'm being swept, I can grab them in my closed guard and set up a triangle or I'm starting to think, instead of just thinking one move ahead, I'm starting to think 2 moves ahead. And it's really cool. Now you're thinking 10 moves ahead. So like that, you know, that's the difference. Like a black belt knows essentially every move you put, like a black belt's been through that so many times that they already have the responses to that moves, you know, and things like that. But But that's super cool. So let me ask you this, and I'm sure you've gotten this question a lot, Pedro. UFC. You ever think about doing some of that stuff?
Oh yeah, I love this atmosphere they have like about in America. I love this about the show. I saw the last UFC on the MSG.
Yeah,
I imagine myself out there, with all the people watching. And I like this. It's one thing that I really, really wanna test myself out there, in MMA too. It's kind of sometimes it's kind of like have some doubts, because I know how much that costs, right? Like too much. Punch in the head. But in the same time, I felt like I have just one life, if I want to do this, it's like I have this window, and I need to do between these. And I really want to test myself, man. I want to be a complex guy who does everything, And I think this going to make me a better coach as well. I dream a lot to it one day have my team, my competition team, make my champs too. And I think this is going to help me be all around it, Doesn't matter what you, like I say, I want to pass to my students, like, doesn't matter what you go through. I'm here to help you because I went through already,
So what's your
plan? Get that belt.
What's your plan, Pedro, over the next 5 to 10 years? Like, where do you, I'm sure you're going to continue to compete for a while, but once your competitive career starts slowing down, where do you see yourself going next? And by the way, we probably should have mentioned this earlier. You referenced your girlfriend, now your wife. Your wife's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and she's one of the teachers often for the women's classes. So you're married, no kids yet. What are once your competitive career starts kind of winding down, where do you see yourself?
Man, like I see say in these next year have a big goals that are gonna tell a lot how it goes, after. I want to win like all the major tournaments. Like I want to win the Pan Ams in the gi double gold, Worlds double gold. I will win in the gi.
Yeah.
And I have the ADCC in Las Vegas. That my biggest goal next year.
Nice.
Win the double gold. And with this, like I want to compete less but big fights, and start my transition from MMA.
Yeah.
I want to compete in like until 32 years old, 33. And then I start like my gym. All between this idea, start my gym, these age, like start my gym, have my team. I want to have sons, I have at least like 3. She don't want, but say at least 3, to have my the kids program start. When I have my gym. Like I see myself like helping all these achieve their goal as well. I think like all the experience that I had, that I all these years through competition, all these struggle times in tournaments, when the thing is going well, everything's good. When things go wrong, you think it's the end of the world, And the kinds of past that I had, like all that I learned and keep passing for others. And man, just I love, like I say, I love my life. People sometimes say, hey man, you have to take some vacation, like you train too much, you crazy, you need to do some hobbies, you have to have some hobby outside of jiu-jitsu. I don't want, I'm satisfied with jiu-jitsu,
It's amazing how, I was talking to my friend who I got into jiu-jitsu this past weekend. We were driving back from training, and both times we were driving back, we're looking at each other going, man, I feel so good. We're like, I don't know what it is about jiu-jitsu, but every time we train, I just feel so good. Like if I could train every single day, I would train every single day because I just feel great when I'm done. And the other thing, Pedro, and again, I could talk about this for hours, but and I didn't expect this when I started training. Man, the people involved in jiu-jitsu are freaking great people. Like I enjoy, going up to the gym just to see everybody. I spend about a month in Colorado every summer and have for quite a while. And I was up there this summer and I was having dinner with a couple and they were like, hey, when your kids are out of school, are you going to start staying up here for a long time? And I said, Man, I think I miss my jiu-jitsu friends too much, like I got to get back to Houston, but yeah. So, well, that's awesome, Pedro. I just got a couple more questions for you before I'll let you go. I want to ask. Yeah, go ahead.
Just like about the vacation, this thing. My wife, like say, no, okay, let's take some trip, to California to get some days off.
Yeah.
And I talked with her, say, look, we trained, I think it was 4 days. We trained the first day and the 3 last days we go out, blah, blah, blah. Man, I just trained it. And it's like, but I was out with her. Like, I get there, I trained Thursday morning. I finished the train. I went straight to Universal. She's want to go there.
Yeah.
The Universal, I go back like 6:45 straight. Like train, Universal, gym again. I train until like 8 p.m. with the Romulo. I really want to train with him. That was my last day that he will be teaching on his school. And I was there training to him at 8. Went home, my friend's house. I eat pan and 4 a.m. I wake up like I finished the train 8. I was asleep like 11 and 4 a.m. I wake up to get the car and drive 2 hours by myself alone. Nobody want to go with me.
Yeah.
I want to train with men's bros, I talk with them and you kind of sit up a train. He say, hey, man, come, we want you to come. But man, I drive 2 hours. When that train with them by myself, 3 hours training with them, man. Whew, was tough.
Nice. Yeah.
Get 2 hours back, train again. And then we did some things out. Like say, she's getting mad. She say, man, you say it's vacation, but you just train. I say, for me, it's vacation. I'm training different people.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's like, I actually wrote a long article about my experience with jiu-jitsu, but of all the different things that's awesome about it, of all the great lessons I've learned and people I've met, at the end of the day, it just makes me feel good, to train jiu-jitsu. I just feel better when I do it.
I don't know how to explain to you. People like, man, what does jiu-jitsu have? It's just you doing to see, like, I think, like you said, man, the environment too helps a lot, and if you see, this is like, of course, our gym is great, the environment, but it's kind of jiu-jitsu culture, like every gym that you go, people gonna receive you, as a friend. Where you get with your gi there, people gonna be nice with you. They're gonna try to help you out.
Sure.
I can say like all places that I go sometimes, even before, people know me like from the middle of the jiu-jitsu. I always have some guys there that I don't even know, just jiu-jitsu, They say, man, you can come, you can stay here. The guy never know me, like.
Yeah.
He don't know if I'm a good person or I'm a bad person, but he believed that, like I say, jiu-jitsu helped change a lot of people, I think jiu-jitsu helped change a lot of lives. Like, it's something that, like I say, we can't explain, but man, I see a lot of people change a lot, like not just, I see people become a better husband, like, I don't say just about training, because for me, the mean is the train, like, it's great. I love training, but like I say, this is the last that jiu-jitsu can do for you, like, is your workout right there. But man, go beyond that,
My brain has been changed from jiu-jitsu for the better. I mean, like, I feel like people talk about the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. I used to think the jiu-jitsu lifestyle meant like the way you ate and the way you slept and stuff like that. And that's definitely part of it. But for me, I think what that kind of phrase means more is like, it's kind of like a way of seeing the world, almost like you just see things in a different way. Like, I'm more positive. I'm more confident. I'm calmer. It's just, there's just so many different benefits. I got to ask you this, Pedro, before I let you go. I know you've had a lot of people in your life that have been mentors to you, but I think we would be missing out if I didn't ask you what kind of influence Olpiano's had on you. Like, what have you learned from him?
Yeah, like I said, with Piano, I learned a lot to be like a professional. Piano is so professional. I mean, like, he get to the gym, he pass his thumb on the he pass his fingers on the ground, you know, to see if it's clean.
Yeah.
If the lady did everything right, like, and these things I see, like, you see the passion he has to what he does, you know, and not just about in the mats, but he want to make sure that let's say when you go to the gym is clean, you know, he want to make sure you feel good, you know.
Yeah.
And I was always seeing he does these things, you know, and like, like this guy really is like sometimes things for me that say no make sense. Why he doing that? And like later I saw why, and I said, oh, he did that because this, and you see working, you know. And man, I think one of the biggest thing I learned from piano is like how work, you know, not just work hard, but work smart, you know.
Yeah.
It's not just about all hard work, but about work smart as well, you know. And piano is one of the guys that does a lot of this, I felt, you know. He's smart, like I see the way that he take care of the gym, you know, is like something that inspires me, you know. One day when I have my thing, I want to be like that, you know, like, and this is one of the biggest things I learned from him, man. Piano is a tough guy, you know, like, I like this part of him. He always fighting for me, you know, he always showing me like, hey, I'm with you, you know, like you lose, you win, I'm with you. And these, I think, was things that
he's loyal.
Was like,
which I love that. I love that about people, and I love that about him. He and I've seen this firsthand. As a matter of fact, I saw it in your fight with Nicky Rodriguez, where he had your back big time. Like he was.
He fight a lot. Sometimes we go and say, relax, calm, please, because he get nerves. You know, if you see people try, like, you know, pass me behind, like, man, this guy, you know. And this was the thing that I say, man, like, it's great to have someone that care like that about you, you know. And all that I do is like, man, I want to just give back that, you know, like I want to be as best professor as I can for his school. I work on this school as mine, you know, like for me, like I fight with my wife, like sometimes because of work, you know, like say, hey, this sometimes, you know, I don't like when, hey, it's like, it doesn't matter if my wife, I always tell people, on the work is a work. You have to do the job, you know, like doesn't matter. It can be my friend, but he's work, you know. Like say, no, it's not because you're my friend that you're gonna know, like say, have a two coach, let's say, and one is more close to me, the other one is close, but you know, it's not because you closer than me, then you don't want to do the work that you have to do, you know. And for me, I was like that to try to give back to him, do as better as I can on his gym, you know, that the thing that is more precious for him, you know. It's all like say, as my dream was become a world champ, I'm sure this is one of the biggest dream he had, you know, have a big school and a success school, you know. Like say now world champs there, you know, it's not just me, but we have like some Masters world champ. We have a Moses who win the awards. We have a Frank that already won the awards as well. And you see how the school is strong, you know, like, and I'm sure that make him proud.
We're going to have a Masters 4 blue belt world champion next year too. Maybe.
Let's get it. I'm sure. Let's get it.
I'm getting ready to start competing. Matter of fact, I was in Las Vegas and we were talking earlier. Victor Hugo was there. I was at the World Masters. I actually signed up 2 months ahead of time and there was already a wait list. So I didn't get in, and I wasn't really ready because I knew I wasn't going to get in. So I didn't train the right way. But anyways, I was out there and I was like, it's amazing. If you would have said to me 4 or 5 years ago, Brian, when you're 49 years old, you're going to be competing in a world jiu-jitsu tournament, I would have said, are you drunk? Are you crazy? Right. But being around all you guys,
real.
Being around all you guys. And, you know, like Professor Frank, who I've rolled with a bunch, who I like a lot, you know, he's encouraged me to do it. I've had, you know, Philip has encouraged me to do it. You've encouraged me to do it. And, you know, it's you know, Shane Purrier, one of the guys we train with, he did it. He competed a couple months ago, and he said, even though he didn't medal, he was like, it was awesome. I can't wait to do it again. Mike Trent.
I think like the experience you have a competition is like like nothing can be close, you know, like everything is nice. I felt like even when you're nervous, you know, you felt that, man, this guy, you look the guy's the same weight than you, same belt, but you look the guy, man, this guy is big.
That guy's tough.
Man, look his hand. Man, you know, but if he's have the same thoughts as you, you know, he's scared with you.
Yeah,
see,
exactly.
Why this guy can do, you know. And I think like the preparation, you know, like you working for that, because not just the tournament, but you have to have a preparation before, you know.
That's right.
That's the biggest thing. That's what's gonna tell what's gonna happen, that, you know, like on the competition. And I think like, man, competition is something like great, you know, because you go there just have good things. On my views, you know, like you go compete even if you lost, man, embrace that and like say, man, how could I get better? How are you gonna see if you really getting better? Like say, sometimes we train too much together. You kind of start see know my game, you know, and I know your game. Sometimes you need something like this to, oh man, I lost for that guy, you know, man, I'm gonna train hard and I'm gonna get him next time, you know. Even if you win, you know, you win. Great, man. You're gonna work more harder to keep that going, you know. You're talking about the master words. I had Daniel. He like never competed in his life, you know, like he's scared. I talked with him. I remember he was the guy who he don't even open too much for this part, you know. He do private. I do already 3 years. He doing private with me. We together.
Nice.
And I always try to talk with him about this, and he always like, you know. And I was talking, say, man, this sometimes like say he's man, you know, I go there, my wife gonna see I'm losing. Man, your wife gonna be proud of you. You put yourself out there, you know. Your son gonna be proud of you. You put yourself out there. We can't, like I say, one guy told me this, and I really embraced that. If you don't chase these things, you know, your fears, they're gonna chase you. You know,
so
like,
true. So true.
If you don't go,
so true.
You have to put yourself out there, you know, and see what's happening. Sometimes people say, oh man, but I'm no good. They say, man, who can say you're no good? Who can say you're no good in jiu-jitsu? Who can say, like say, these opinions, you know, like some people think I'm good, some people think I'm not, you know, like some people think you're good, some people think you're not. If you always think about what people like opinions, you're never going to be satisfied with yourself, you know.
And one of the great, you know, one of the many great things about jiu-jitsu that I've noticed is nobody cares if you lose when you compete. People are impressed just that you do it.
Proud, you know, proud.
Yeah, it's people are proud of you. People are excited about you. And, you know, you said something there that's so true that I've actually got this. I think this is so important that I have a reminder on my phone that pops up once a week that says, whatever you're afraid of is probably exactly what you should be doing. So, you know, I got invited as part of this, because of this podcast, to give a speech to a bunch of military officers earlier this year. And I almost said no, because I was like nervous about it. I mean, all these military officers, these very impressive people, and I'm going to give a speech to them. I don't want to do this. I'm too nervous. You know why I said yes? I said yes because I was afraid. And I was like, this is exactly what I need to do. And you know what? It went awesome. I had a great time. It was super fun. It's the same thing with competing in jiu-jitsu. You know, one of the things I try to do, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but for everybody, when we're doing classes, we learn the professors demonstrate some techniques, and then you pair up with a partner. And I always try to choose, if I'm not going with a higher belt, anytime a higher belt asks you to roll, you roll with them. But if I'm picking a lower belt, a white belt, I always try to pick somebody bigger than me, because I'm a pretty big guy. And I'm like, if I don't need to prove myself against small guys, I want to prove myself against big dudes. And you know what I found?
Challenge.
Yeah, the challenge. And what I found, Pedro, is it's still hard for me to realize that this is true. But like, if you're an untrained white belt, you have almost no chance against me at this point. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, it sounds so cocky.
100%.
But it's not because I'm any better than jiu-jitsu, and it's because I've got the training and I've done it. And the more you do it, like, just like you're saying, I mean, I was rolling with a guy who's 250 pounds the other day, but he's an inexperienced white belt. And, you know, I look over at this guy and he's like 25 years old, plus he's half my age. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this might be a problem. Well, next thing you know, I've submitted him like 5 times.
You know,
like, it's amazing how it works. Right?
One thing that I tell a lot of people, like, jiu-jitsu is like a skill, right? Like, man, if you think, they're gonna say no, even adults, but you see the kids, like, you get one kid that know, like, you get Jax, you know, Jax from the gym, he's really good in jiu-jitsu. If you get one kid who don't know nothing, man, it's crazy the difference. you know.
Crazy.
The same thing apply for adults, you know. Like, in jiu-jitsu, a great thing, like, you, like, say, you go to sometimes a family party and it's the most happen, like, some problems, you know. Jiu-jitsu, he make you able to stop a fight without you hurt your
exactly
opponent. You know what I mean? Your like, sometimes the guy drunk too much. You don't want to, like, you know, punch him. In jiu-jitsu, they give that for you, you know. Say, okay, you don't need to punch. Protect yourself, take him down, mobilize him. You know? Like, when you get some people that you don't know, like I say, you is better than 99% in the world. In most, more, you know what I mean?
It's amazing.
You able to go out with your family. I don't say that we're going out to, but it can happen, you know, something wrong, but you get there with confidence, you know? Say, man, whatever happens. I don't say you're going to sometimes need to fight, but, you know, it's care about. If it happen, okay.
I know how to deal with it.
Yeah, you're going to try avoid. But if it happen, I know how to do it. I know how I have to like, put myself out there, you know? Because if you don't know, you're going to go crazy. Not gonna be good.
I go to
you say sorry. You say about nerves, you know, like that you was nervous to talk. I say, man, look me to podcast in English was the same thing. You know, people say, man, you know, they always invite me before, and I say, no, you know, I don't speak English well, but I say, man, if I never try, I'm never gonna get better on this, you know. And sometimes I'm kind of shy to talk in these things, but say I need put myself out there, chase this.
Awesome. And, you know, I actually, I don't know if you remember this, but I asked you to come on the podcast about a year ago, and you were like, I'm not sure if my English is good enough. And then you and I talked about maybe doing it with a, and by the way, for people that don't know, Brazilians don't speak Spanish. They speak Portuguese, which is a different, pretty different from Spanish. But anyway, we talked about doing it with a translator, and then you said, I think I can do this. I just did one. I think I can do this in English. And I can tell you something, Pedro, for sure. And I read this a long time ago, and it said, if you talk to somebody who has an accent, the only thing that means is they know more languages than you do. So I can tell you, your English is really, really good, and it is so much better than my Portuguese. So you're doing a great job. Last question I have for you, Pedro. We've gone way longer than I expected, but this has been a lot of fun. But what's your you got any big fights coming up in the near future?
Yeah, January. I'm gonna fight in January 21st in Austin.
Yeah,
and I have the Pan Ams. It's gonna be all close. I wanna like get, you know, more 2 super fights on the big the first 6 months. I want to do like 2-3 super fights and focus on the Pan Ams and the Worlds. They're gonna happen the first 6 months of the year, and I want to focus all on that. You know, this is my biggest thing. And January 21st, I'm back.
Nice.
To smash them up.
Well, where can people find before I let you go? Where can people find you on the internet? Like, where are you most active on the internet?
Instagram. I use the most. Yeah,
and is Pedro
Marinho JJ.
Pedro Marinho, and that's MARNIHOJJ. Pedro Marinho JJ. Nice, and that's on Instagram. You're also on Facebook a little bit. Well, Pedro, this has been a real treat for me. It's been an honor to have you on the podcast. My hope is that this podcast gets released right before Christmas. That's kind of the schedule, which I think is perfect because your story is truly an inspiring story. It's truly a positive story. And again, man, I can't tell you how much better my life has been because Olpiano, you, the folks at Gracie-Barra have been in it. So I want to really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that. I mean, you know this. I've got 3 kids. I've had them all over their training. My 2 youngest are playing high schools or playing sports, so they can't train as much right now during the season. But Gus and I train.
He's
twice a week.
Yes.
Yeah. So I bring my kids there. That's how much I think of it. And I've been trying to get my wife to come too. We'll see if I can make that happen.
Be awesome.
She can train with Victoria. But anyway, thank you, my friend. It's been awesome. And You're a great guy, and the world's a better place because Pedro Marinho's in it.
Hey, thanks so much, Brian, for the words, and it was a great time here, man. I hope you guys like, and if you guys didn't understand something, just let me know that I fix this. I can explain better.
You did great. You did great. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks so much, Brian.